So I thought I might just start by giving you a little bit of history on the centre. We opened our doors in 2007, and the primary focus of the centre is that of supporting enterprise development in Portlaoise and surrounding areas. And I suppose it's interesting to think back. In 2007, we also found ourselves in the middle of recession. Lots of businesses were closing their doors and people were losing their jobs. And I suppose trying to think about how to reinvent themselves, how to find employment. So not too dissimilar in ways to the circumstances that have led to the development of the Emerge project. So what do we do here in the centre and how is it relevant? Well, I suppose the first thing we do is we provide reasonably priced business accommodation to start up and growing businesses. So we've some different options within that. The first one is what we call our designated desks. So they are desks within a shared office. And that's typically where many of our clients start. In fact, they've probably started a little bit before that. Most of the time, the clients I deal with will have started probably in their own homes, in the spare bedroom or in the sitting room or at the end of the kitchen table. And when they've got to a point where their business has established itself somewhat, they need to move on and kind of formalize it. So they normally would start with our designated desks. So within that space, I suppose you have different people all working on their own business ideas, but they each have their own desk that's not used by anyone else. So that's a really good starting place for people. When they feel that they've then outgrown that, I suppose they then look to move to our small offices. Now, again, they're all various different sizes. Typically, they hold from between, I suppose, 2 and maybe 6 people, give or take, and are now suitable for the growing business that needs, I suppose, if you like, its own front door. And people then can come and go and again work away on their business idea. And then we also have some small light industrial units. Again, now that's probably reflective too of the time that the centre was built, where I suppose enterprise, the definition of enterprise included not only desk-based businesses, but also an element of manufacturing or service kind of activities, which the industrial units provided for. I think there's a little bit with the newer centres, sometimes this is slightly overlooked, and newer centres maybe don't always provide this type of accommodation. But interestingly enough, it's actually always been interest in that side of our business has always been steady. The units have always been occupied, and I do think it's one that we do need to always make provision for, because it does play its part within the industrial landscape of the economy. And I suppose finally then we have a number of meeting and training rooms. So these are provided for use by our clients, but they're also available for booking by external parties. They've been upgraded in recent years, and we now have them equipped with up-to-date screens and audiovisual equipment. And again, as the prices within the hotel sector have grown, I've seen, again, steady interest in these spaces from groups based outside of our centre, and that's also to be welcomed. And I suppose the good news then is this isn't just unique to Portlaoise. Enterprise centres like ours are located all around the country. And if there was any silver lining to the COVID cloud, it was that our centres and many others like them around the country were recognised for all the benefits that they were providing. And the government provided funding and awareness through the Connected Hubs programme. So there is a website, it's www.connectedhubs.ie, and that provides a listing and links to all of the various different hubs that are located all around the country. So that one's definitely worth a look if it's something that you would be considering, either as a basis for starting a business or social enterprise, or maybe if you're trying to source a meeting or training space for your group. I just quickly would point out, though, within our sector, there are different, I suppose, setups. So some centres like ours are set up as social enterprises, and they're constituted as not-for-profit companies, limited by guarantee and with voluntary boards of directors. Now, that ethos will be reflected in turn with pricing and supports, etc. But some other companies are privately owned companies have moved into the space and have developed centres and hubs. Just, I suppose, it's one to watch out for, because some of those will have profitability as part of their goals, and their pricing may reflect that. So I suppose it's just one to keep in mind. And finally, I suppose I just thought I'd say a few words on the sort of advantages that come with being located in a centre like ours. I suppose the first thing is that there are supportive environments that do aim to help start up growing businesses and social enterprises. Many centres will also help with things like informal mentoring and signposting, and will also provide networking opportunities, which may be down to just sharing that cup of tea with someone in the kitchen when you're on a break. But from that, lots of different opportunities can come, and I suppose there can be opportunities for people to network and maybe develop other strands of business ideas that they may not have previously thought of. There's also a huge, I suppose, environmental impact from taking people traveling long distances to work, to maybe being able to work and live, within their local community. And I suppose the other thing to remember is that lots of us have links with other support agencies that may be of use to you as well. So, for example, I would work closely with the Laois Local Enterprise Office, Laois Partnership Company, Laois Chamber, and others like that. So I hope that was a helpful introduction, just to give you an idea of what enterprise centres and hubs are, how they fit into this entrepreneurial ecosystem, and how they might be of help to support community-based initiatives that may develop as a result of change within, I suppose, the traditional landscape that we've all been used to. I've had direct experience of that because, as I mentioned, we're a not-for-profit social enterprise in ourselves. So really all we do each year is aim to more or less balance the books and have a few bob for the rainy day. That's it. So for us to develop our centre, I had to apply for funding, and some of that does involve match funding. So we've worked with Concredo on that, who would be specialists in that area, bearing in mind we've a voluntary board of directors, etc., etc. But thanks to, I suppose, the government recognising the important part that we play now since COVID, when suddenly everybody realised we were there and working away, we did successfully get funding under. We worked with Portlaoise, our local development company, under the Leader programme, and we got some funding from that, and then we also got some fundings from the DRCD. But again, match funding can be a difficult one, and I think that's an area where the community focused finance groups have a huge part to play within that. I'd be coming in maybe at a slightly different angle on my thoughts with this. I suppose where I could see the enterprise centres or hubs fitting into that jigsaw is maybe as more of a kind of a support or an ancillary service. And I'm thinking there in terms of maybe having the availability of meeting or training rooms for various groups. So like that, if there were funding applications to a particular body who didn't have access to maybe a community centre or a hall or whatever, but that needed to try and thrash out, I suppose, the nitty-gritty to avoid duplication, or maybe to introduce people to each other to try and see, could two projects be merged to make a bigger and better project. I suppose that would be more or less where I'd see that enterprise centres and hubs may be able to fit into the jigsaw in that way. It's always a difficulty because external help costs money if you need to engage somebody to work on a project, and most of the time projects won't have access to that sort of funding. And I suppose what you're trying to do to some extent then is to nearly matchmake between people who have the skills that are prepared to offer them on a voluntary basis, I suppose. Am I correct there in my sort of understanding of the question? I hope I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
That I suppose what you're trying to do is to match people who have those skills. That's hard. I think we see it ourselves across the sector. Voluntary help. People aren't maybe as inclined to volunteer for various reasons as they used to, and I think it's a, you do need a concerted effort to try and identify somebody who is sympathetic and interested in the particular cause that the project is dealing with, and to try and approach them. Like there are lots of volunteers doing lots of really good work across the sector, but we have seen it ourselves here from time to time. It can be difficult to get people to engage. So I suppose it is a bit of a difficulty, whether or not it can be inbuilt into some sort of funding where that can be part of, I suppose, the offering. I think that would be a great help if it was, but a lot of the time now, funding will focus on maybe more capital type items and won't include contributions towards the type of expertise that may be needed to make the project a success.